Max, like, what is the number one issue why cold approach does not work anymore?
Well, cold approach does work, but you have to adopt with time. And a lot of guys are still, like I said initially at the beginning, are doing cold approach like it's 2015, where social media hasn't had a big part in it. Where they're doing the RSD, real social dynamic approaches, with the mystery approach and all of that crap. It can work, but it requires a lot of time. And today, women are hyper saturated with dating apps, Instagram DMs, and all of those social circles who give them a lot of different opportunities to meet guys. So they don't need one more guy on the street who approaches them and sells his balls to her, only for her a few minutes later go on Instagram and see some dudes being surrounded by girls, or see some DM from a dude inviting her to some cool thing. Because you're getting into competition very, very fast, and women tend to forget about those initial approaches on the streets very, very fast, way faster than they used before. And the other thing is that cold approach in general got hyper saturated as well, because back in the day, not a lot of guys did that. It was still this ballsy thing to do, to go up to a woman, speak to her. But with all other dating coaches out there giving coachings, selling coachings, and getting more guys into that space, it gets saturated. And I mean, if we talk to all of the girls that we have in our social network, oftentimes I just speak to them, hey, how many guys approached you today on the street? And for them, it's quite normal to say, ah, it were just two guys while on my way here. And I'm like, all right, okay, cool. Slow down, all right. Nobody approaches me, but for them, it became this natural thing to be approached. So you're more on the same level with a cold DM on Instagram and you're a cold approach. So you're not standing out anymore.
Yeah, another problem with that is, like, let's say 2010 or 2012, social media was just arriving, like people were, I think my Instagram is like probably since 2014, 2012, I don't know. That's when people were getting started, right? People were not meeting, right? The women were only meeting guys in person, right? So their sense of having options was like limited to,
Yeah.
okay, in person. So she would
Yeah.
remember you if you would approach in person. Of course, if she has like a terrible, like crazy guy, like trying a bunch of jumping jack tactics, she's still going to remember you because, okay, well, I got approached by this either gentleman or that creepy dude, right? You have to see like you stand out less and less by just relying on normal techniques from the past because they have more options. Because we are humans, we are not used to seeing a difference between getting attention online versus getting attention in person. Of course, in person is much better. I also prefer that. But you have to also realize women have way more options than they had before dating apps and before social media, Instagram.
And cold approach doesn't increase your perceived value. So when you go up to a woman on the streets, and I'm a big fan of doing direct cold approaches where you just say, hi, I just saw you and you look absolutely stunning, wanted to say hi. I'm a big fan of that, and I used to do that. But at the same time, she doesn't know the real value of you. She's still comparing you to the dude who's inviting her to the yacht on a regular Wednesday, or to some party, or to the tables at the nightclub. And those dudes who invite her to those things, their value is higher than yours because she can't see what you're all about. She first has to get to know you, and she only can get to know you either by meeting you or by viewing your social media somewhere. So that's a big problem. It wasn't the case a few years ago, especially before Corona. This wasn't the case as far as I remember.
Another thing that I see a lot of guys who are into pickup or who do just a lot of cold approach, they just record, how many approaches they did, and like, they come with the conversion rates, right? Let's say if they approach 100 girls, might get like numbers of 10 girls,
Yeah.
and then might go out on date with 0 girls, right? And then 200 girls, like they probably like sleep with 1 girl. Like the success rate of doing cold approaches right now is incredibly low. Max, do you think if I just do more cold approaches, is it going to help me, or is there a better way to make things more efficient?
Yeah, I mean, it's a game of big numbers, right? If you do a lot of one thing, of course, you will get more results, but of course, you have to keep in mind your own time. So at some point, it will be just wasting time. And it was the same case for me. I remember back in the day, it was that year before Corona, I was very, very much into cold approaching and I was tracking all of them. I was tracking how many approaches I did on Tuesday, how many I did on Friday, what was the conversion rate, on how many dates I went after that. So I was very obsessive with that. It helped me a lot in becoming more socially aware and talk to women in general, which is a good thing. But at some point, you have to see, hey, isn't this like actually destroying myself, me and my lifestyle? And can't I use my time for a better purpose, right? So in that manner, I would say no. By doing more cold approaches, you won't get any more dates because the more you do cold approaches, the more it is a signal of you being obsessed with chasing women, which will reflect in your dates as well initially. So that was one thing I noticed with myself and a lot of other guys. So you have to find a balance there, right? And of course, cold approach is a very seasonal thing. So you can obviously do more cold approaches in summer where everyone is out, where a lot of hot girls are out there in the park. For example, here in winter when it's 0 degrees and it's raining, I mean, it's not a very pleasant thing to approach a girl in the inner city while it's raining. So she will compare you even more to the other guys who are inviting her to some fancy stuff and then to the dude who approached her during a rainy day, which can kind of be weird as well.